And what happens for a lot of us, and the reason I want to start in James specifically, is I believe a lot of us think we got it, but you don't. A lot of us believe I can handle it, but you can't. And what I'm talking about is trials and temptations. What I'm talking about is problems, right? A lot of us got problems that we think we can handle. A lot of us are tempted by things that we think we can handle. And the reality is you're falling asleep 45 minutes in. The reality is you should never be in the driver's seat. The reality is it is just not, you just don't got it. A boyfriend, whether it be to watch the porn on your phone, whether it be to do drugs, whatever it is, whether it's just to not care. That's the thing that we're tempted to do, is just to not care. James gives us an outline of what it looks like to at least keep moving forward. Don't go back and forth. I already know that you got an issue. Just ask. Ask for some wisdom. James 1, 9 through 11 says this: believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position, but the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a wildflower. For the sun rises in the scorching heat and withers the plant. Its blossom falls and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away even while they go about their business. If you were to stop and think right now, and if you were 100% honest, straight up, what is the most important thing to you? What is the most important thing? What is it that you are just obsessed with? It's rhetorical. You just think to yourself. But genuinely, not just because you're sitting by your best friend, don't be like, it's gotta be my bestie. No, like, what is the most important? If you're sitting next to your boyfriend, girlfriend, it's gotta be, no, what is your number one most important thing in your life? When I was in 5th grade, the most important thing in my life was Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on the N64. Okay? I would wake up every single morning, go downstairs, grab a sick Pop-Tart, come back upstairs, turn on my N64, and I would play a game of Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on N64. I did that for over 100 days in a row. Why? Because I couldn't simulate a game, and if I wanted to play a full season, I had to play every game. And a baseball season lasts 162 games. So some days I played twice. That's why I went 162 straight days. But over 100 days in a row, I would wake up, grab a Pop-Tart or some kind of breakfast, and play. And I would wake up earlier than I had to because I had to play before I'd go to school because it was that important to me. I even played all the playoff games, won the World Series, went undefeated. Look at your boy. That was at least 16 more games. So I played 178 games over roughly a 150-day period. Every day, in a row. And I can't get out of bed and read my Bible in the morning. And my prayer life struggles. And it's hard to come to Elevate once a week. If it's important to you, if it means something to you, then it's worth doing. Especially if it has to do with God, because the things of this world, the riches of this world, you do not take them with you when you go. The time you spent doing this and doing that, caring about this, caring about that, you fill in the blanks, mean nothing to eternity. The time you spend with God, the time you spend learning about him, coming to know him more, going deeper with him, that means a lot for your eternity. But it's hard. It's hard because you have to be honest with what is most important to me. And if you know Jesus, it's that genuine question, is my relationship with Jesus the most important thing to me? Or is it like 79th in the list? Because I think about it sometimes. James 1:12-15 says this, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that Lord has promised to those who love him. When tempted, no one should say, 'God is tempting me,' for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then if the desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death." Do you know that Jesus was tempted? There's a story in the Bible where he was out in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and the devil shows up and tempts him. And the things that he was tempting Jesus with didn't sound bad. It was the consequences that were tied to those temptations. Yet Jesus was able to avoid each and every temptation that was put his way. Why? A, he's God, he didn't need that stuff. But B, because it was from the devil. There's a reality, I think, for a lot of us that when life feels like it's struggling, right? When it feels like it's really rough, when there's a lot more questions than I have answers, there's two things that set in. A, the question of where's God? And B, does God really care then? The reality for us is God is there, right? Your struggles, I was talking about this on Sunday if you were in church, it's not the absence of God. Your temptations and you giving in to temptations are not because of God. God is not tempting you to see how much you love him. He does not tempt you, right? He does not leave you on red for 30 days to see like, oh my gosh, does he really care or not? Like, that's not a thing, right? He doesn't play that. For him, you are of the utmost importance. Our struggle is we try to time everything. We put everything on a schedule. And we want everything answered now. He just doesn't work in our time. Finally is this. James 1:16-18. "Don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above." Not temptations, every gift is from above. "Coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like the shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be the kind of first fruits he all created." God really thinks about you. How many of you guys in elementary school did the Valentine's boxes? The thing, you took the shoe box, you made it super cool. You're like, this is mine. Like, you put the construction paper on it and color it and label it Andrew, right? And then you went to like the Walmarts or the Myers, and you went and bought, the coolest, sweetest Power Ranger, like Valentine's. You went back, some of you stuck candy to it, other of you just like signed it, and then everyone did it. You had the special Valentine that went to the special someone. Lies. Because if you didn't, you definitely were like, I hope Susie gives me one. I just hope I get one from her.
No and no.
Yes, and believe it, yes.
No and believe it, no.
But we all, right, there was the Valentine's boxes, then there was a time when you got to go around, you got to put the Valentines in the boxes, and then you got to sit down, open your box, and take out all the Valentines. You got to look and be like, okay, yep, my buddy gave one, that's my buddy. And you would look around at the end and be like, dang it, I didn't get one from so-and-so, right? Or this just looks like everyone else's. Do you realize that if Jesus was in the room doing the Valentine's boxes, you wouldn't be able to tell whose Valentine was the best, because they all would be the most epic Valentine you'd ever seen? There was no part of him that would walk around and say, I'm going to give this Valentine to this person, I'm going to skip them because they're silly, right? There was none of that. I'm not going to give this person a Hershey kiss and this person is getting just one random Skittle, right? It's like they're getting the full-size candy bar on every single one. That's how much he cares and thinks about you and loves you, is that each of you are deemed important to him. You are on his mind constantly. So what does this mean for you? It means this. James 1:22-24. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at their face in the mirror and after looking at himself or herself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. Hey, that actually happens to me sometimes. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law and that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. He's saying it's as silly as you spending all the time in the morning getting ready for school. Some of you don't look in a mirror whatsoever, and that's totally cool. Others, you wake up way too early, spend way too much time looking at yourself, guys and girls, it's real, and you sit there and you want to look as best as you can, and as soon as you turn around, you forget everything about your face, every way that you look. You don't even know, if you were to look in a mirror again, you'd be shocked because you forgot that's what you look like. He's saying that's how silly it is to hear everything that we talk about, to read everything, to pray about everything, to see everything that Scripture says, and then for you to be like, cool, and do nothing about it. There is action involved, right? Maybe there is something in your life that is tearing you down right now that can be looked at and you can pull out bits of joy out of it, or maybe patience. Ask God this week for wisdom in a particular situation. Try looking at a situation through a different point of view. Take time this week to reflect on the goodness of God. When we do, we see all the good he has done in the past, and even though right now is rough. Do something you learned this week. Put it into action. Knowing about something and doing something are two different things. A lot of us would claim to know God, but are you actually building a relationship with God? Are you going beyond the head, and are you going to the heart of it with him? Because he cares. He wants you to. He's waiting for you to. Would you pray with me? God, thank you for you. God, our prayer this week is that we would be doers of the word. That we would hear these things, that we'd find patience, we'd have joy in our situations, we'd look for wisdom from you, we'd seek wise counsel if we have to, wise individuals on how to get through this. God, change our point of view on things. God, most of all, thank you for caring about us. Father, we pray that everything we do be honoring and glorifying to you in your name. Amen. You guys can go to small groups.